Good evening, I'm John Curry with Semper Savage, makers of the most kick-ass salad dressing on the planet. It's 30 October. Welcome to my post-flight debrief. Folks, there's a couple of key events coming up for Semper Savage. First, on the 11th of November, that's Veterans Day, we're launching our online sales at www.sempersavage.com. That's the day that the website is going to be up and running. We're going to be open for business online. Hope you'll visit us, get you some Semper Savage. You'll enjoy it. Pretty good flight tonight, on the gogs again, and visibility was good. Didn't really have a whole lot to report, unfortunately. Nothing funny, nothing exciting, but I will say that the weather has turned cooler here, and it's almost like Southern California. Super nice. I am digging it. I wanted to do something a little bit different tonight with the post-flight debrief. I wanted to talk to those folks who are still on active duty that are approaching retirement age, and I wanted to talk to you about the mistakes I made as I was transitioning out of the military and making the decision to retire. In no particular order, I felt pressure to retire for reasons that turned out to be invalid. I pressured myself to get a job super quickly. I was overly focused on getting out of Department of Defense and military industrial complex type work. I did not use my existing network effectively or appropriately. I spent way too much time applying for jobs online. I did not set an absolute income bottom line for myself. So real quickly, my background was just shy of 23 years in the Marine Corps. I was a highly qualified pilot. I had acquisitions experience, aviation acquisitions, operations experience, maintenance experience, and associated education to go along with those things. And I also had worked on a general staff. So I had significant experience and tenure in the Marine Corps, plenty of marketable skills. One of the reasons that I felt pressure to retire that turned out to be completely invalid was I was approaching, I think I was 47, I was approaching 50, and I didn't want to be 50 and trying to start a new career. Well, as it turns out, not a single person, not a single company asked me about my age, how old I was, or how long I expected to work until full retirement. It was a total non-event, and honestly, it really surprised me. So if that is on your radar, I don't think it needs to be. I was concerned about being forced to retire by the Marine Corps. So this was 2013, 14 time frame. In the context of the time, it maybe made a little bit of sense. It turned out to be completely not a factor. It was a totally invalid reason to feel pressure. I was dissatisfied with my current billet. Yet again, something that could have easily been rectified had I critically and objectively looked at my reasons for retirement. Hey, just gut it out in that assignment and then take another assignment. My biggest mistake in terms of my reasons for retiring was that I did not objectively and critically look at my reasons for retirement. Do you really hate what you're doing right now while you're on active duty? And if the answer to that is no, then you really need to be examining why you are feeling pressure to retire. That's the bottom line. Just make sure that you're super critical and objective about those reasons. The second overarching mistake I made when retiring from the Marine Corps was I put a ton of pressure on myself to get a job super quickly. I wanted to retire, and I wanted the next day I wanted to go to work somewhere so that I could have dual income during that time. I'm not sure exactly why I was so focused on that. Maybe it's because I had just heard what a great thing it could be, but I really got focused on trying to get a job quickly. As a consequence, I took a job that I never should have taken because when I wasn't meeting my own timeline, I felt desperate. And the environment at the time, again, this is 2013, 2014, there was some issues going on in DoD and in all the associated industries. So finding a job there was a little bit tough. All this pressure was self-induced. And as a result of not meeting those arbitrary milestones that I had set for myself, I ended up taking a job that I really should not have taken. So what I should have done with regard to that is fully utilize the TAD and terminal leave period, which for me was 90 days. I should have used that period to find a job that was more suitable and continue to look. And if it comes to it, deliver pizzas or work at Home Depot or something for a while until you find something that is more suitable. So I mentioned that I was overly focused on getting out of DoD and getting out of the military industrial complex and the defense industry, despite the fact that it's what I knew, it's what I was good at, it was the best skill set I had to be successful. Kind of pushed it aside. I had extensive experience, recently updated security clearance, yet I was convinced that I needed to get out of that realm. Ultimately, it's where I ended up. It's where I ended up being very happy. And I've been doing this or related things for the past 5 years. Don't discount what you already know and what you're already good at, what you've been trained to do in the service. I did not use my most powerful network, my most powerful tool that I had at my disposal, which was the United States Marine Corps. I had spent well over 20 years in the Marine Corps. I had tons of contacts, both inside the Marine Corps and outside the Marine Corps, and I did not engage with them on the level that I should have. I spent way too much time and effort throwing resumes at online job boards and applying at companies that I thought I wanted to work at with no in. I didn't have a connection there. Every single job I have gotten in my life, going way back to when I was a kid, I've gotten through some sort of a personal connection. Work that network. Regardless of the service that you're in, you've got a lot of friends. You've got commanding officers, you've got subordinates, you've got folks that are out that you know. Take advantage of that network and let everybody know that you're looking for work. Hey, I need a job. One of the mistakes I made when I was transitioning from the Marine Corps that probably caused the most heartache for me was simply not having a set number, a floor that I cannot go below this income. You need to set it and don't go below it. Now, I had a pretty good idea what I thought my income should be. As I felt all of this pressure that I've mentioned that I put on myself, that I created for myself, ultimately I ended up taking a job that I really shouldn't have taken because it didn't pay me enough. Now, if you think the civilian world is hungry for your skills, you're correct, but you're dead wrong if you think they're going to understand your capabilities, or if you think they're going to fall at your feet and offer you professional level jobs that are paying you on par with what you're making now in the military. Overall, I would expect to take a pay cut. I've been out 5 years now, and I have just recently exceeded what I was making as a lieutenant colonel in the Marine Corps. While you do need to expect a pay cut if you're going into another industry, you nevertheless need to understand exactly where you're willing to go to start over, because you do have to understand from the civilian point of view that they don't care what you did in the military. They think it's nice that you served in the military, but they don't care. In my case, I ended up running bank branches, consumer bank branches, and they didn't care that I was a really good Cobra pilot. They didn't care that I was a really good staff officer in the Pentagon. What they cared about was, can you run that bank on a day-to-day basis? And the fact is, I needed to learn those skills. So expect to take a pay cut because in their eyes, you are starting over. You're kind of a rookie. at whatever it is you're beginning to do. Put way too much credence in a bonus pay structure. So bottom line, they said, hey, your base is X, and you have the capability to make up to Y based on bonuses. And historically, this is what the fleet average guy has done. Well, in my case, I kind of counted on kind of being the fleet average guy, which seemed perfectly reasonable to me at the time, until I got there and was working and found out that nobody in my district had made a bonus in 5 years. So base everything off of your base pay. And if the numbers don't work out, just don't count on the bonuses. If you get them, that's fantastic, but don't count on them. It's just a hard lesson learned for me. Just trying to help you out. So the takeaways here are expect an initial pay cut because you're assuming you're going into a civilian industry. Know your income floor. Know what the numbers are and understand what you can accept. Beware of being oversold on bonus and commission pay systems. Understand exactly what you're getting into and exactly what your income's going to be. If you don't do that, you're going to end up in a hurt locker, believe me. Hey, so I hope this has been helpful, at least for some of you. Obviously, this is my personal situation. Just some food for thought, some things to think about. I wish you all the luck in the world as you transition, and look forward to seeing you out here in the civilian world. It ain't half bad. Remember, on 11 November, go to www.sempersavage.com, buy yourself some Semper Savage salad dressing. You're gonna love it. Our online sales are starting that day, and we look forward to hearing about how you love the product. That's all I got for you tonight, folks. Have a good night.